What's up, guys? This is Ryan Johnson with MoneyFast.com, and today is Technique Tuesday. We're going to be taking a look at a few things that'll help you out with your waypoint management, and we're going to specifically take a look at your default waypoint icon. And what this is used for is as you are out on the lake and you're marking different waypoints and you're out, say, on your practice day or out just having some fun, and you see something, maybe you see a brush pile or pile of rocks or just any type of location that you want to mark, this feature right here will help you identify that spot instead of just having the default blue button, a blue little icon that a lot of people will have on their screen whenever they're marking waypoints. So this will allow you to distinguish between different icons and different cover types of structure, things like that you locate out on the lake. All right, so before we get into it, I want to go ahead and thank you guys for participating in the comments on the previous videos. Like I said, guys, we're growing pretty fast, and just want to give a shout out to all you guys that have just been supporting the channel, always in the comments, hitting the like button, and sharing my videos. I really appreciate it, guys. So just a quick shout out to you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it. And don't forget, leave any questions, comments, or if you have anything that you would like to add to it, or if anyone here has Garmin systems or Lowrance, and you know the equivalent to your waypoint, your default waypoint icon on those units, just leave a little bit of information down in the comments for those guys, because some guys are running Humminbird, Lowrance, Garmin, just different units, and some of you guys have multiple units on one boat. So this is something that would definitely help you out, save you time on the water, and make it more efficient for you whenever you're trying to locate structure, locate fish, and basically overall just give you a better day out on the water. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at these settings in here so we can get to it and show you guys what you need to know. And also, be sure to watch this video all the way through, because the information is not in any specific order of importance. So like I said, just make sure you watch it all the way through so you don't miss anything. So what you want to do is always go ahead and start with your menu button. Hit that menu button twice, and your menu will come up. And these settings up here at the top, what you want to do is scroll over to your nav setting. Under nav, you'll see current track, waypoint routes and tracks, waypoint settings, saved tracks defaults. And what we're looking for are the waypoint settings. So we'll go down to waypoint settings, hit the arrow over to the right, and then this will bring up another menu, icon category. And basically what the icon category is, it just will change and give you the options for different default waypoint icons. So I generally just leave mine set on all. I haven't really gone through that enough to know which setting that I use the majority of the time, but actually I change between brush piles, rock piles. Sometimes I may put a car icon, but really it just depends on what the purpose is, what lake I'm on, and what I'm trying to get accomplished for that day. So to give you an example, and like I said, you guys always want to go in here and do these things yourself so that you can get familiar with it, because really you won't get the same experience just from watching this video. I want you guys to actually go to your units, play around with these settings, and if you have questions, please come back to the comments, put questions in there, or if you see some tips that you think may help someone else, make sure you put that in the comment section too. But basically under this icon category, you can change that from ice fishing. And what that does is it limits the options that are available within the default waypoint icon. So that way you're not scrolling through all of the options under default waypoint icon. All right, so you have ice fishing, you have geometry, you have alerts, supplies, and like I said, each one of those has a set of specific waypoint icons that you can choose under there. But like I said, I just leave mine on all. So fish, I definitely use that setting right there whenever I locate fish and I don't want to mark it as just a blue dot or some type of structure, because whenever you mark fish, of course, fish move, so they may not be there the next time that you go. But when you mark fish there, at least it gives you an idea of where the fish were at last time, and they could still be in that same area. So you may want to start there wherever you've marked fish at and change that icon to fish. All right, so let's go back up here and change this back to all. And this is the default that I was talking about. Most people will have a bunch of blue dots all over their maps, all over their screens, and you may have all of your waypoints from all of your lakes that you fish all on your unit. You haven't backed them up on any chips or anything. And guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we will be going over a waypoint management system that I use. And basically, I only keep one lake on my units at a time as far as the waypoints go, because you don't want it to eventually start slowing your system down or anything like that. So we'll get into that later. But for now, this default waypoint icon that I was talking about, you want to go and change that to something that will be more in tune or more in line with what you actually use your units for. So for me, for example, whenever I'm out on the lake, just going through these settings, a lot of times what I'm going to mark from my units are going to be obviously brush piles. You may see a stump field or some rocks, or it could be a ledge or a hump, just different things like that you may see. So like I said, with it set on all, you can go through these icons one at a time. And like I said, take the time to go through and familiarize yourself with those icons. So that right there is a rock pile, for instance. This right here looks like a swordfish or something like that. But you kind of get the idea that you can go through here. This right here, maybe it's something that you want to call attention to. So for example, whenever you first put your boat in the water and you're at the boat ramp, maybe you want to put this icon, or maybe an icon for a house or something like that, so that you know how to get back to that ramp. For guys that aren't familiar with using your mapping systems and things like that yet, that is always a good thing to do, is to put a waypoint at the boat ramp itself, so that you'll always know how to get back to it. So let's just go through here a little bit more. That right there is a brush pile, red brush pile. So maybe that'll highlight a specific area. There's some fish if you want to mark a certain type of fish. And like I said, you want to just scroll through here and get familiar with the different icons that you can use. So that right there, for example, is grass. Maybe you found an area that has grass and you want to mark grass. But this will be the default. So let me just show you, for example, for me, let's say that I'm going to go out. There was a tree. So maybe you see standing timber or something like that, and you want to mark that, use that icon for that. A flag, maybe that's something that'll get your attention, like, hey, maybe I need to check that out later, something like that. All right, so there we go. So let's just set this one on a brush pile, for instance. There we go. So that icon, default waypoint icon, is now a brush pile. So you want to go down here. Let's just take a look at this. So we have default select. So default select, I always leave this on default, and that just defaults every time that I hit the mark button. Over here, your mark button, every time you hit that button, it's going to put a brush pile as your icon. So let's say if you're going to mark let's say a tree stump or a road bed or something like that, you're going to have to go and change this. But if you're specifically out looking for brush piles, or maybe you're out specifically looking for standing timber, then you're going to want to put this default to be whatever you plan on marking the most for that day. All right, so now we go down here and we're going to save this. If you don't save it, then it'll stay back at that blue dot. So, all right, now what I did real quick was I just hit the exit button twice and I exited back out of here. So now let's just go back out. All I did just then is I exited back out, and now I'm going to just cruise around and find a lake. Any lake, any lake. Here we go. What is this right here? All right, let me zoom in on that. So now I'm going to give you an example of what that does. So now let's just say that you are actually out on the lake. And sometimes you can mark waypoints from home also, whenever you're looking for things that you want to go and check out, or potentially fish whenever you're out on the water. You can do this from home. So for example, this is your Lake Master chip. You can see this is the channel right here. There is a small channel, I guess, that leads back into some creeks or something right there. So that's a ledge right there. So maybe you want to go and scan that area once you get there. So you would put a waypoint on that. So remember, I have my default set at brush pal so right now. So let's just say, for instance, I have already gone and I've scanned this area and I find a brush pal right here on the spot. All I do is go over here and hit this mark button. Mark button right here is what I'm going to press, and you'll see a brush pal will come up right there on the screen. I tap it twice and it automatically puts a brush pal right there. So let's say I'm driving some more. You can see my little icon right here. Let's just say that represents the boat. I'm driving and I find another brush pal right here. So now I'm going to hit mark again, tap that twice, and it'll put another waypoint right there. So now let's say I drive a little bit more and now I see some rocks, but now I have it set at a default to be the brush pal. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hit the mark button twice, tap that twice, and now I have to go back into menu. I'll hit menu twice, and as you see, that last waypoint that I put on here, that is that waypoint. So I'll go into like I said, hit the menu button, then you want to scroll over and you want to edit that. So now you go to edit and you go down to icon. So you're going to edit that waypoint, go down to icon, and I said those were rocks, so that right there is a boulder. So for example, you would just scroll through here and find whatever icon you want that to specifically be. Then you will go down to save, go to the right, you want to save that. And now let's go back out, you hit exit twice. And now as you can see, that icon is a boulder. There's your 2 waypoints for your brush pals, and there's that boulder. So this is the way for you to be able to go to the lake and know specifically what you're going to be fishing. Because like I said, so let's just go back out real quick and go to your waypoint settings. And let me just show you an example of what I'm saying. Most people's screens will, how they will look. And yes, you'll know something is there, but you won't know what you're fishing. Because if you fish several lakes, or say you have 200 waypoints and they're all blue dots. So I'm putting the default back to this blue dot, and we're going to save that. All right, so now that's saved. So now let's go back out here. Now let's just say that I'm continuing to scan, and now I have not set up my default waypoint icon, and I hit waypoint. It's going to put a blue dot. Let's say I want to put a waypoint right there. I see a tree. When I hit waypoint, it's going to put a blue dot. Whenever I keep on, let's say I find a roadbed, and now I hit mark on that, it's going to put a blue dot. So next time, whenever you come to the lake, you're not going to know what was there unless you just happen to have a good enough memory where you can remember hundreds of different waypoints. But I fish several lakes in several different states, so I definitely want to be able to distinguish what type of structure or cover that I'm going to be fishing. So another quick tip with this is, so since I have 2 units at the console, and most people are going to have 1 unit at the console and 1 unit up front at the bow. So what you want to do is, for example, at the console for this unit, let's say I'm going to be marking brush pals on that. Let's say on this unit over here, I'm going to be running side scan, down scan, and sonar. So on this one, I may be looking for isolated rock structure. So I'll do the same thing. I'll go in here and I'll hit menu button twice, go to the nav tab, go down to waypoint settings, default waypoint icon. And what I want to do is, since this will be rocks, for example, I will go over until I find, let's see, the rock icon. Let's see what that is at. Well, let's just say that it's trees, for example, since I found that. No, let's just go ahead and do it right. Let's go to rocks. So on side scan, I'm going to find some rocks. Oh, better yet, let's just go ahead and say I'm going to mark fish on this. So I'll be marking brush pals on the unit on the left. And if I see fish that I know are going to be moving around, and it may not be a permanent thing, meaning whenever I come back, those fish may not be there, but I will know that it's an area that did have fish actively there, then I will mark fish there. So what I'll do now is just go down to save, hit the save button, and hit exit twice, go out of exit. And now let's go to the mapping on this screen. Hold on 1 second. All right, so now I have zoomed into the same area and you can see where I had marked the waypoints on this side. Since these units are networked together, anything I mark on that screen is going to show up on this one and vice versa. So now we marked fish. So now let's say I continue driving and I start seeing fish over in this area. So now anytime I hit the mark button, and I'm going to tap that twice, and it's going to mark a fish right there. And if you look over here, let's scroll on down a little bit and you'll see where I marked that fish right there, and it shows up on this unit. So that's all we need to take a look at for today, guys. But just keep in mind that you want to go in here and play around with these settings and things yourself. Just set aside maybe 15 minutes of your time and just get efficient with that. If you set up these icons, it will definitely save you time on the water and make your fishing more efficient. So just to go through this again real quick, you want to hit the menu button twice and go over to Nav, go down to Waypoint Settings, and then your icon category will be set on all default waypoint icon. And you want to change that to whatever icon that you mark most of the time. So that way you don't have to go and change it each time. All right, guys, I hope this information helps you out. Actually, I know if you guys watched this video in its entirety, it did help you out. There's no way that it can't, because knowing what you're fishing whenever you pull up to a spot will definitely make your fishing more efficient. You will know what kind of lure you will need to pull out and just make the day a lot better for you whenever you get out on the lake. All right, guys, I really appreciate you supporting the channel. Appreciate you hitting the like button, leaving your comments. That's all for now, guys. See you tomorrow.